morning, Suzuki community. It's Myron from Zuk's Off-Road and the little company behind it, 4x4. So today, in a wonderful, beautiful day here in the Green Valley, it's called Verde Valley. You might have heard of a city called Sedona. That's at the north end of the valley. That's where all the kooks are, the movie stars and the palm readers. I'm down in the cowboy town on the other end of the valley. It's called Camp Verde. It's got a great history. There's a fort there called Fort Verde that the United States military put in, the army down there a long time ago to basically control the natives. Sad, very sad story. You ever get a chance to read Broken Heart at Wounded Knee? Wonderful book, kind of tells the story of what happened here in America. Not by me, not by you. This is where we're at today. We're going to be working on John Berg's car here. John Berg has been one of my customers forever, and we've done a lot of mods to this. It's got one of the G13B brand new engines from, almost 2 years ago we put that in. And a long time ago when we were dealing with stock carburetors and stripping them down to the bare essentials with the fella, we did a few of those, didn't work out like we wanted to, had issues. And it's very hard to describe to people that when my customers have issues, I have issues, so I'm not going to make any excuses of my customers ever. I'm never going to say anything to my customers like, well, that's normal, accepted. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing a MySide. Now the MySide means Myron's Side Draft System, and we use the Harley Davidson constant velocity 44 millimeter carburetor. Some of you do use the 40 millimeter because you're Harley guys and you got your old carburetor when you did the stage 1 and the stage 2 upgrade, and that one works fine. So if you have all original parts for the Harley Davidson 40 millimeter, you can do that. We'll make the kit for that. But we also have the ability to upgrade our kit to a different carburetor. Now, we're going to be using Harley Davidson carburetors for as long as we can get them, because Harley has already discontinued the 40 millimeter, and Harley had a few issues in California with some, let's call it advertisement, that it was smog approved, and then California said it wasn't. So we see maybe the 44s might not be available to us in the future. So until then, we're buying as many as we can, and I do want to say that I can say this with full confidence. The deal I have with Harley Davidson is basically sold more 44 millimeter carburetors to one location than any other store in history. So we really appreciate the fact that Harley works with us and that we're able to offer this wonderful, wonderful carburetor. What's so special about this carburetor? It has the ability, by the way, it has 6 patented features according to Kian, Vice President of Kian USA, which is an American company. There's 6 features in this carburetor that Harley designed. It has automatic elevation. Show me any carburetor that has automatic elevation and I'm there. It doesn't exist. This carb, being constant velocity, means that it knows if it's in thin air, higher, or thicker air, lower. So when we tune it here at 3,500 feet, John's going to be able to go a mile down and a mile up, and this carb is going to run exactly the same. I've been into Harleys for a really long time, and some of you know of a little event in South Dakota called Sturgis. I went there with my wife from Orange County, California in 1992, and we went with carbureted Harley I had at the time. We went over the Great Divide, 14,000 feet, but my bike was tuned at sea level. And so at the very, very top of that mountain, which these cars will do too. These cars actually, when they get this carburetor, these cars sounds like a motorcycle sometimes. And so going over the Great Divide at the very top, full throttle, 14,000 feet, this carburetor was still running, but it was going potato, 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 potato. And we were barely moving because you add the bike and you add 2 people and you add the luggage. Oh, geez, we were probably pushing 1,100 pounds. And that thing just was so cool. As soon as I started coming down the other side, it would start to rev again. But wide open throttle and being able to hear that, those cylinders, potato, 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 was really awesome experience for me because it lasted for miles. Anyways, this is what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to start by removing some things. So let's get going on that. So to remove, what we got to do is we got to get rid of the air box. So we're going to take that off. We're going to take off the vent hose. We're going to use that later. We're going to take off the air box. You might have this with your stock carburetor. We're going to remove, and this is very similar to a stock carburetor, by the way. They're very difficult to get the 4 bolts off, and a lot of you new guys might not know this. When you lift off the stock carburetor, one of the nuts hits the body, so you have to lift and undo and lift and undo, but I already did that. Okay, we're going to get down to the intake manifold. So there's the fiberglass for that, and then we've got to take out these studs. Now we put these studs in. You're going to have, these are Allen studs. You have regular studs that are 8mm by 125. What you should do to get the studs out is you should put 2 nuts on, tighten those nuts together, and then what you can do is use those nuts to drive out the studs. Unless you have a stud remover. Now if you have a stud remover, which I do, I have stud removers, they're really cool. They grab onto the stud, but they do mess up the threads. So you wouldn't be able to use those again. But if you ever need any, let me know. I have about 20,000 of them in a bucket. And so we are hoarders of Suzuki parts. Many of you have called me and asked me, could I buy this used? I don't sell used parts. I sell pallets of parts to the used parts guys. So you can call Tony, you can call Randy. These are the guys I like. These are the guys I use. These are the guys I recommend for used parts. They've been around a long time. You got new guys. You got Brett. You got Brandon. You got new guys selling parts. They're the future of the Suzuki small parts business. But I just can't see my way to selling $10 brackets that take me 30 minutes to find. So that's why we don't sell used parts. All right, so I have already got down to the intake manifold, and we're going to stop right here for a second. We're going to actually show you a picture in the video of what I want as a clean surface before I file it. So we're going to stop right here and show you a picture. So you saw that picture of the intake manifold, but now I just need to demonstrate something to you. Where I have my finger in that picture, these holes tend to get volcanoed. What I mean by that is the aluminum will pull up, and this is going to interfere with your gasket. So one of my recommendations is to stuff paper inside these holes, take a file, and file the volcanoes down, because I want a nice seal between the billet block and the gasket. And so we're going to go ahead and do that now. This is what the billet block looks like. This is how it's going to come to you in the kit. And we're going to come up with the gasket here. All right. I own the die for Suzuki factory gaskets, and if you are, oh gosh, I don't want to insult anybody. If you want to be smart, call me about any gaskets that you need, intake manifold, thermostat, carburetor. These are really cheap and they're high quality. I sell these in bulk to engine manufacturers. All right, so I've got some copper spray on the gasket here. I really like copper spray. You want to let it set a few minutes like I did with this one. Obviously it's small hole to small hole, big hole to big hole. You just lay that on top there. And then we're going to lay the billet block on. And then we're going to put the long Allens in. You know, it was kind of funny this morning. I was thinking, should I disconnect the battery? Because if I drop a wrench in here today, you're going to see an explosion on film. And I decided not to disconnect the battery. And so I just dropped a bunch of nuts and bolts right by the starter. So if this blows up right now, please have a good laugh. Okay, so I put the 4 Allens through the top of this, and I'm going to give you a little bit of information just so you remember this. There's a lot of 8mm by 125 threads, bolts in this car. Most of them go into aluminum. So remember this, 22 foot-pounds, that's the torque. That's kind of tight, and right around 21 foot-pounds on some things, it's going to feel like it's going to strip. So you have to be careful and judge that correctly. So I've got these pretty well torqued. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to show you another picture of what this is supposed to look like.